You guys have already learned a little bit about comparatives. So as you can see on your note sheet, comparatives compare two items. So you might have a person, like Juan. Juan is taller than somebody else, his brother. Could be objects. This folder is better than that folder. But nonetheless, there's a comparison where you're telling me something is some sort of adjective more than something else or less than something else, prettier or uglier or something like that. But superlatives are a little bit different because they designate that one item is better than all other items or more something than all other items. So whereas here it's just Juan is taller than his brother, maybe their dad is the tallest of the group. But in this example, it's stating that Juan is actually the tallest in his family. So with comparatives, you might see something in English like taller, but with superlatives, you're going to see something like tallest. So that's what it says here. In English, superlatives are used by adding ist at the end of something. Or you can also say it by most. So you might say Juan is the most tall in his family. Or you could say Juan is the tallest, right? Or Juan is the most smart in his family. Or Juan is the smartest. So if somebody said most intelligent, you could say most intelligent. You wouldn't say intelligentest, but you might say smartest. But in all these examples, you have like most or least, and that's fine. But notice that the word the is used before all superlatives in the form English, which is essentially going to be the same case for Spanish too. So the smartest, the tallest. So it says essentially Spanish is the same thing here. Observe the translations. Juan es el más alto de su familia. Juan is the most tall of his family. Exactly translated. Él afirma que es el más inteligente también. He states that he is the most intelligent also. Entonces, ¿por qué es el menos próspero? Then why is he the least prosperous, the least successful? But it's important to note that with superlatives, you're going to use the word de and not en. It's not in his family with en, it's de su familia. And it just sounds weird in Spanish to say in English, Juan is the tallest of his family. But I'm telling you, that's the way it needs to sound in Spanish. You can't say en su familia. That doesn't work. It has to be Juan es el más alto de su familia. With superlatives, de is really going to be a big player. The form of the article the, so el and el, that needs to match the person. So if I said this about Maria instead of Juan, it'd be Maria es la, because la matches Maria. Whereas here it was Juan es el, that matches Juan. And then notice alto matches Juan, but here alta matches Maria. So it's really important. The word the el or la or los or las needs to match the subject, and also the adjective does too. So María es la más alta de la clase. Lucia y Marta son las niñas más altas. So this is las for two people and altas for two people. So notice that the noun may be placed within the superlative structure, as in Lucia and Marta are the girls most tall, but like that's plural, right? Or the tallest girls. There are some irregulars to point out. So instead of saying the goodest, we're going to see best. So whereas good here, the superlative is el mejor, which is the best adjective superlative. You're not going to say the worstest or something weird, the baddest. You can say the worst. So malo becomes el peor, the worst. Grande, which means big, is going to become el mayor for the biggest. Viejo can be also mayor, which can become oldest. So both grande and viejo become el mayor. In some cases, you have to know context. Sometimes it'll be the biggest, sometimes it'll be the oldest. The same thing will happen with pequeño and joven. Pequeño, small, and el menor becomes smallest. But joven also becomes el menor, which means the youngest. So Mayor, biggest or oldest. Menor, smallest or youngest. So notice, this is important that when we had comparatives before we had que, superlatives are with they, as I previously said. Yo soy mayor que mi hermana. That's fine. I am bigger than her or older than her. But then if you said, I am the oldest in the family, it'd be soy la mayor de la familia. You must have that piece with the de. And the last thing to note, so we had comparatives, which compared two things. We had superlatives, which made essentially, it told you who was the most something. And we also have this structure here, adjectives with isimo. Isimo just means like very, very, like incredibly something. Maybe not the most, but like very, very something. So if you add isimo at the end of the word, that's what it's going to mean. So all you do is you take off the last letter of a word, like guapo, and you add isimo. Now, if this were guapa, then it'd be guapísima. Just like as this was feminine, we'd say rica. This would be R-I-C-A, changes to riquísima. Familia is feminine. So pobre, even though it ends with an E, we're going to add isima. And we added an A at the end because it was familia, which was feminine. So no matter what the word is, we're going to either add isimo or isima. And then those could be a plural too. We could have isimos or isimas. But as you can see, pobre ended with an E normally. Well, we're not going to do E's. We're just not. We're going to have an O or an A at the end. Un edificio is a building, and it's masculine, so it'd be alto. And in this case, altísimo. Trabajo is masculine and plural. So difícil, which normally ends in an L, we're just going to add ísimos. You could just look at trabajos and see the OS there and know that at the end it's going to match. Dificilísimos. So just so you know, to say something is very, very, we're going to kind of add ísimo or ísima or ísimos or ísimas. So your next task is to move on and try part A and B here. Part A is going back to this piece right here, where we're doing the structure of the, most, something, of. And you're going to try that here with like, she is the woman most small of the family. And then here you're doing it with, so like mi tía es muy guapa. So we're going to change that to mi tía es guapísima. So that is what we just learned here with the ísimos and ísimas. And then once you get through 1 through 9, then you got to come down here and answer 10 really quickly, but then try and translate these into English. If you have any questions, try and ask me if there's not something going on. Otherwise, Google is a good search queue if you need to have questions answered.